Social movements are the heartbeat of civil society. Whether you're in the streets of Kyiv, the squares of Moscow, or the cities across the United States, you'll see a pattern: ordinary people rising to demand change. Sometimes it's peaceful, sometimes it meets resistance. But these movements shape political decisions, and those decisions shape our daily lives. What we can say, how we work, whether we feel safe, and what kind of future we can hope for. Let's start with Ukraine. This country has seen some of the most dramatic social movements of the 21st century. The Orange Revolution in 2004 and the Euromaidan protests in 2013 and 2014 weren't just about corrupt politicians or disputed elections. They were about the soul and direction of Ukraine itself. After Euromaidan, Ukraine drew much closer to Europe, kickstarting reforms in everything from education to police and government. Suddenly, Ukrainian language and identity became central, and the country changed course. Of course, this shift triggered conflict with Russia, and that war still impacts everything: civilian life, the economy, and national unity. The big lesson here? When Ukrainians protested, they didn't just swap leaders, they changed their country's path and future. Now let's look at Russia. Here, the space for social movements is much tighter. Protests supporting figures like Alexei Navalny have faced serious crackdowns. The government controls media and public spaces, making it risky to speak out or organize. For regular people, this means protesting can lead to arrest or losing your job. Big government decisions, like military drafts or internet censorship, happen with little public debate. And especially since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, young people have lost freedoms: speech, travel, even what they see online. In Russia, state control limits social movements, and that limits personal freedoms too. And then there's the USA. Social movements here have been engines for change. Think civil rights, labor rights, climate action. Recently, movements like Black Lives Matter, #MeToo, March for Our Lives, and climate strikes have started nationwide conversations and policy shifts. Police reform, diversity in schools and workplaces, changes in gun laws. These come from the pressure of people demanding more. LGBTQ plus rights, women's rights, racial justice. These are now election issues. People are more aware, and digital activism lets them take part from anywhere. The lesson? In America, social movements can be powerful engines for democratic change, even if progress is slow and messy. So what do Ukraine, Russia, and the USA have in common? People everywhere want a say in how their countries are run. Social movements, whether they're allowed or suppressed, are how citizens try to reclaim that power. Sometimes, marching in the street leads to new laws. Sometimes, it leads to jail. But the desire for change, and the right to ask for it, runs deep. The decisions governments make, whether inspired by protests or resisting them, shape our work, our speech, our safety, and our dreams. In the end, political decisions begin with the people, if they're allowed to speak.